Welcome back. Today we're continuing with Angelina Jolie movies with Wanted. Directed by Timur Bekmambetov in his first Western movie after the success of Night Watch and Day Watch. More on those films at a later date. Wanted is based on the comic book of the same name, and the film has almost absolutely nothing to do with it. And thank Christ for that, because it's one of the worst I've ever read. So I won't be doing any comparisons, and just looking at the movie as it is. So let's start and take a look at Wanted. The film begins with opening text explaining about a secret society of assassins called the Fraternity, which will be explained to us later by the characters, so it's pretty redundant. But after that rather serious beginning, the film then shifts to an office and to narration from our main character, Wesley Gibson. He tells us the office is celebrating his horrible woman of a boss's birthday, and he goes on to tell us all about his shitty life. Like how his girlfriend is currently cheating on him with his best friend, and googling his name, all he gets is 0 results. Which must mean that Google can't find a single person named Wesley or Gibson. I think Google might be broken. But with this opening, I get it. No offense to people who work in an office, but I did it once and it was soul destroying, so I do get this opening. And as Wesley tells us his father must think he's an insignificant arsehole, the film shifts to an imposing looking man entering an office building and into a woman's office. The way the scene was filmed was quite clever, because Wesley was talking about his father, and then we see that man, who may or may not be his father. Wesley's told later that he is. However, because of the way the scene was filmed, we as the audience make the connection first, without anyone else telling us, which consequently makes us believe it more later. The man, known as Mr. X, tells the woman her name didn't come up so she can relax. More on that later. And he says that his organisation has been experiencing losses, and he gives her a very strange looking bullet to find out where it came from. But it's completely untraceable. However, she's immediately shot in the head from the neighbouring building, and Mr. X looks to be running to escape, however that's not his plan. As Mr. X gets into the elevator, and with his vision going all wobbly for some reason, he runs like hell and then smashes face first through the window, managing to pick off most of the snipers, curving bullets as he does, before smashing into a lower window, but he quickly gets to the roof and kills the remaining sniper. Now, granted it was cool looking, showed off his abilities, and it showed that he was an insane badass. But really, was it necessary at all? It seemed very excessive to jump through a window to another building when he could have shot them from where he was and have cover. But it was supposed to be stylish above anything else. As he stands on the roof, he gets a call from a man called Cross, as Mr. X tells him that no one leaves the fraternity, and Cross says that he, not giving any names, broke the code. Then he tells Mr. X that the snipers were just decoys, and X marks the spot since Mr. X is standing right on target as he's shot through the head, with the bullet stopping and then reversing, letting us see the bullet's trajectory. And the bullet itself is an elaborately designed multi-stage shell that recombines as it flies back to Cross's rifle. Now, again, undeniably cool looking, but that's not how bullets work. Bullets need mass to impart their force, so as the bullet sheds itself of this mass, it's getting weaker and weaker. So really, it would have been better if it was just a solid contained piece of metal. We shift back to Wesley in bed with his cheating girlfriend as she complains about the noise of the close-by trains, but Wesley kind of likes it.
It helps to drown out the sound of your annoying fucking voice. Now please, let me sleep.
Clearly he has more confidence in his head. He goes off to work, and as he puts a notice back on a lamppost, there's a pretty clever suggestion, as there's a poster that says, "Your Father's," and then the camera focuses on an apartment window. I wonder what that could mean. It's pretty obvious, but we'll find out later. At the office, Wesley is terrorised by his boss, and his friend is ploughing his girlfriend again. Have they reinforced his shit life enough yet? Wesley and his friend are at the drugstore. He picks up his standing prescription of anxiety medication, and even pays for his friend's energy drinks and condoms, 'cause he's a big doormat right now. It should be mentioned, by the way, that at this point in the film, Wesley has barely said a word, but is narrating constantly throughout, which is indicative of him lacking confidence to speak his mind, which is pretty unconventional as a storytelling technique, and kinda claustrophobic. But as Wesley opens up, so will the film. Wesley is tormented some more by his boss, as his vision mirrors what happened to Mr. X, as he's having a panic attack, and takes pills to calm down. The movie seems to be constantly reinforcing how much Wesley is downtrodden, which will make it even more cathartic when he does eventually stand up for himself. He really must go through his meds like candy as Wesley's at the drugstore again to pick up his prescription. He notices that Cross is there watching him, and turning back, there's also Angelina Jolie, or Fox, who stares at him for a bit before laying the bombshell that she knew his father and he died on the rooftop. But there's literally no time to explain as Fox and Cross start shooting at each other. Wesley tries to run but is stopped by Fox as she busts out her nifty shooting round corners gadget. Wait, hang on. She has the ability, possibly the most important ability, to curve bullets. So why the hell would she need a machine that does what she can already do naturally? Wesley runs out of the store, but Fox scoops him up into her car. That should break his legs, but he's actually fine, as Wesley and Fox drive off with Cross taking chase. The chase gets pretty crazy as Fox hits a cop car off the road and Cross starts shooting. Fox lays on the bonnet of the car while shooting, giving Wesley an upskirt shot. But speaking of Wesley, it can't be understated just how irritating he is in this part of the film. For example,
What are you shooting our car for? Where are you going?
And it's like that throughout the entire sequence. The chase hits a snag as cops have set up a roadblock, but Fox is undeterred. And in the drugstore, Fox said Wesley apologises too much.
Oh my god!
I think that one was kinda necessary. Then they drive off the bus, knocking it over, and manage to escape Cross. It troubles me that at 20 minutes in the film, a Dodge Viper toppling over a bus is just par for the course. But you know what? It's a world of curving bullets, so I think we can toss usual physics out the window. Wesley wakes up after passing out from the car chase, and he finds himself in an unknown place, bumping into Mark Warren of all people. And then everyone gathers around him before their leader, Sloane, played by Morgan Freeman, appears. And for a real trial by fire, Sloane gives Wesley a gun and tells him to shoot the wings off the flies in the room. One of the others points a gun at him to force Wesley into it, which stresses him out to say the least. And his vision goes weird again as he fires wildly. After finishing, he tries to take some pills, but Sloane shows him that he did indeed shoot the wings off the flies, which causes Wesley to instantly calm down. Sloane throws the pills away and explains that he didn't have a panic attack. It's his innate ability to increase his perception and reaction time. Which, unless those panic attacks are specifically good for firing a gun, you'd think Wesley would have some kind of inkling that they were actually helpful. Like, for example, he has a panic attack but finds he can run really fast, that sort of thing. The way the film makes it look, it seems almost impossible for him to not notice it. Wesley points his gun at Sloane, who tells him to keep pointing at him if he doesn't want to die. Sloane then tells him that Wesley's going to join the fraternity to be trained to kill Cross. Wesley doesn't believe him, however, and just leaves, which should be an indication that he's on the level when they just let him walk out of there. Wesley wakes up in the morning still fully dressed, hoping what just happened was all a dream. That is until the gun he was given drops to the floor, which Wesley panickingly sticks in the toilet cistern. And as he checks his bank account, he finds he's over $3 million richer. Wish my bank account did that. And back at the office, Wesley's newfound confidence even draws the attention of his friend. And while looking at news reports for the shooting, Wesley finally says what's on his mind as his boss decides to terrorize him.
Shut the fuck up!
Wesley then goes on to tell her exactly what he thinks of her, which is very cathartic to watch because of all the abuse he's been taking. And on the way out, he also tells his friend what he thinks. Yeah, that was pretty great. And to finish my speculation on Wesley's inner voice, he doesn't actually give us much narration anymore. Whereas before, it was constant narration from him, it actually only happens a few times in the rest of the movie, because his outer and inner voices are the same now. Outside, Wesley is picked up by Fox and taken to the fraternity headquarters, which is a textiles mill. Wesley is taken to speak to Sloane, and he asks him if the factory is a front. But Sloane assures him it's a damn fine textiles mill, which just confuses Wesley. But Sloane tells Fox that it's time to give Wesley their special brand of training. I mean, you saw their version of initiation. Then Wesley has a chat with Mark Warren. He's the repairman, but really he's just there to beat the crap out of Wesley, while Fox asks why he's there. Which is extreme to say the least. And things get worse as Wesley is woken up by Fox and told to try and cut this butcher guy. But Wesley's still a little inexperienced, and when the butcher calls him a pussy, goading him into attacking, the butcher just stabs him in the hand. Good God, Wesley's gone from verbal abuse to full-on physical abuse. It just doesn't go well for this guy. I doubt there's many people just casually joining the fraternity with this kind of training regime. You'd have to have no other choice to go through this sort of thing. And like I said, nothing's really normal with these guys, as Wesley wakes up Han Solo style encased in wax, and the guy watching over the bath gives Wesley some vodka, cause he's Russian, and explains that the bath speeds up the healing process from days to hours. Who knew wax was so versatile? Light source, medicine, and sex aid all rolled into one. Or is that just me? And you'll notice that guy, Konstantin Gabensky, also played the main character in Night and Day Watch, so the director probably brought him in to do this. And although he doesn't actually do much in this film, he does have a pivotal and crucial role later. Wesley is then given shooting training as they bring out the targets, which surprise him in how much they look like real dead bodies, until he realises they actually are real dead bodies, which, oddly, Wesley doesn't like, even though he signed up to kill people. The gunsmith does explain that this way he'll know what it's like to shoot actual bodies. Wesley gets beaten up again by the repairman, and then it's back to shooting to learn how to curve bullets. Except this time they're using pigs instead of human bodies, and they never use humans again, so what was the point of establishing that they use humans as targets when they clearly don't? It's like they did that to say, hey, these guys are so hardcore, they shoot dead bodies. I think we get that they're hardcore by now. There's more training for Wesley as he and Fox have a race, but obviously they're hardcore, so it's a race on a train, with Fox limboing under an overpass and with Wesley smacking into it, which requires him to have another session in the wax bath. But even he admits it does actually feel good. Outside the mill, Cross's latest victims are being brought in, one by the name of Rictus, which is a nod to the comic where the main villain was Mr. Rictus. But we'll just forget about that, and sweep that reference under the carpet where it's best forgotten. There's then another training exercise where Wesley has to grab a shuttle that's running along inside the loom. He sticks his hand in but misses and gets cut. It's then Wesley says fuck it and walks off. Speaking with Sloane, he tells him he doesn't need all the bizarre training stuff because he can shoot the wings off a fly. When did Wesley go from having no confidence and being underprepared to being stupidly overconfident now? Maybe all this training is to just get him to balance the fuck out. Wesley is back in the wax bath and our favourite Russian shows him something quite special, as he shows him a rat with a device strapped to it, and explains that it's been fed a mixture of peanut butter and plastic explosives.
Imagine if you had 1,000.
They fucked you up, didn't they?
This is why I like this character, because he mentions that Wesley's father was a big fan of his exploding rats, and him saying imagine 1,000 plays into something later. His character barely does anything in the film, but he's actually one of the more influential ones too. It's then time for another session with the repairman, but Fox starts the beating this time, asking him why he's there. Wesley gets the shit beat out of him until he admits that he doesn't know who he is, which is precisely what they needed to hear, as Sloane takes him to his room, which also belonged to his father.
What happened?
A member of this fraternity went rogue. Started by killing the one man who was better than him.
I do like that the picture Wesley has of his father has both Mr. X and Cross, setting up the intrigue for the movie. Because we're halfway through now, and no one has actually said, this man is your father. It's been Wesley and the audience making assumptions. So it's almost like the film is saying, there is something strange going on, but it's so concealed that it's fooling the audience to a certain extent. And now Wesley knows who he is, his narration begins again, and then a montage of him getting better in all the training while researching every single mission Cross undertook. We watch Wesley succeed against those who previously beat him. It's a great quantifier too, because we know what Wesley has done to pass the training, and we've seen him fail, so we know how difficult the task is. So we understand that A, Wesley's getting stronger and better at his abilities, and B, we understand those abilities are indeed something extraordinary. However, Wesley still hasn't mastered curving bullets yet, as he continues to fail to hit the target. But Fox has the genius idea to stand in front of the target, which is enough incentive for Wesley to finally curve the bullet. So now Wesley is a full member of the fraternity. Sloane takes Wesley to see the Loom of Fate, which is where the fraternity gets all of its kill orders. They don't want anyone dead, fate does, as they say. And very strangely, the names of people come through the loom in a code. When the thread is above the weave, it's a 1, and below the weave, it's a 0. So yeah, the 1,000-year-old loom is weaving a code that is itself a code. ASCII code to be precise, which wasn't developed until the 1960s. What I'm saying is, the loom doesn't really make much sense. Not forgetting the fact that how could anyone figure out that the missed threads were a code, and what they were saying didn't exist for centuries? I mean, there's concealing a code, and then there's just being fucking awkward about it. So the cryptic loom gives Wesley his first kill order. He's annoyed that it's not Cross though, and despite knowing that he was brought there to be an assassin, Wesley's now having second thoughts, as he's on the train to kill his target through the window, but he flinches. In the bathroom, Wesley talks with Fox, saying it feels wrong to kill someone he knows nothing about. So Fox tells him a story about a girl and her father, who was a federal judge, but he was too good at his job, and a man was hired to kill him off. But the man forced the girl to watch her father burn alive. The man also likes to brand his initials on the people he makes watch. Fox says a fraternity member failed to pull the trigger only a few weeks before the man killed the judge, and when she walks away, Wesley sees the man's initials branded on Fox's neck. So now we know why Fox does what she does, and it certainly makes her character far more sympathetic than just a badass with a gun. She feels honor bound to make her kills every time because she doesn't want anything like what happened to her to happen to anyone else. A female badass with a personality. So far, only Angelina Jolie has managed to pull that off. And back on the train, it turns out that Wesley didn't flinch and miss his target, he just wanted to kill him in style, as Wesley curves the bullet, hitting the guy in the chest, killing him. Well, he got over his struggle pretty quickly. Wesley gets another kill order he's required to perform before he gets to Cross, and it's a traditional fat cat-looking man smoking a cigar in his limo. Wesley tries shooting him, but it's bullet-resistant glass. However, noticing the sunroof open, he gets a rather novel idea to kill the guy, and at least he apologizes for it. I'm sorry. Somehow, I don't think that was sincere. After the killing, Wesley decides to go back to his old apartment, mainly to get his father's gun that he stashed in the toilet. He rather delightfully breaks the door open on his friend's face and goes to get the gun while his ex-girlfriend tries to debase and humiliate him through the door. And even though Wesley doesn't care, Fox gives him a helping hand and a big kiss, which is all satisfying cathartic revenge. Outside the apartment, Wesley sits and waits for Fox to get a car, but while he does, Cross appears and they start shooting at each other, but Cross just shoots Wesley's bullets out of the air. Wesley chases Cross but loses sight of him. He senses someone sneak up on him and he fires, but it's the rat guy from the fraternity, as he collapses and more fraternity members show up to chase Cross, who fires, curving the bullet, hitting Wesley in the arm. It's pretty obvious that the rat guy was working with Cross, with his exploding rat plan and how the other fraternity members were so surprised he was there. It's just a shame he hasn't done anything, really. I would have liked to have seen more from the mad Russian bomber. In the bathroom, the Russian dies repeating 1,000 to Wesley, referring to his rat idea. Wesley digs Cross's bullet out of his arm, and inspecting it, he tells Sloane it's the first traceable bullet he's ever used, and knows where to find the man who made it, a monastery where the fraternity was born. So Sloane agrees and gives him Cross's kill order. However, there's a problem, as Sloane also gives Fox the kill order for Wesley, which is pretty coincidental and should make you think something's rotten in the fraternity. Wesley finds the man he's looking for sitting with a loom, which my interpretation is that's another loom of fate, for reasons we'll find out later. The man runs off and holds Wesley at gunpoint, but Fox holds him at gunpoint so Wesley can ask him about the bullet, and he arranges a meeting with Cross. The meeting is taking place on a train platform, but the guy runs off with Wesley and Fox taking chase. Wesley sees Cross on the train and gets on board to get after him, leaving Fox on the platform. So she just steals another car and chases after the train, with the guy informing Cross that Wesley is alone. Wesley is jumped by Cross and he tries to tell him something, but Fox shoots, separating the two. There's more firing at each other, curving bullets round people, Cross defending himself and not actually shooting at Wesley. But not to be outdone on the ridiculousness, Fox drives the car up a ramp and into the train. The car is hit by the tunnel, causing debris to get trapped in the wheels. Someone pulls the emergency brake just as the train drives over a bridge, causing the train to derail and hang precariously from it, as train cars smash into the ground below. I have to ask, who are the good guys again? As they've potentially killed many innocent people. Wesley is hanging by his fingertips, but Cross grabs him before he falls, and Wesley takes his chance shooting Cross just as the train drops and wedges itself in the crevasse. However, this is when all is revealed to Wesley, as Cross tells him that Wesley is his son, and everything he was told was a lie. but then he dies before elaborating. Fox appears behind Wesley and he just plainly asks her if what Cross said is true. She says yes, because Wesley was the only person Cross wouldn't kill. Fox tries to shoot him, however Wesley shoots out the glass beneath him, allowing him to escape. Which was just incredibly stupid of Fox to do that. Wesley asks if it's true, she should then say, no, he's a liar, blah blah blah. And then, when she has a more opportune moment, shoot Wesley. It kind of made Fox look really dumb and unprofessional. However, you could argue that she let Wesley go on purpose, but who can say really? Wesley finds himself in a makeshift recovery bath back in the city, in an apartment right next to his original one, as he's in the place the poster indicated right at the start of the film. And the monastery guy brought him back to the apartment on orders from Cross. Wesley finds a load of photos of him as a child, fully convincing him Cross was his father. And the guy explains that all this time, Cross has been trying to rescue him from the fraternity. The guy also explains why Cross left the fraternity, giving Wesley a kill order. He deciphers it and finds it's a kill order for Sloane, and he's been manufacturing his own kill orders ever since. Which explains the loom Wesley found in the monastery, because Sloane's loom is tainted and can't be trusted. So Cross set up his own loom in the monastery, which has been giving him the real names to Fate Once Dead, which is why he's been killing fraternity members, because their names keep coming up. Wesley's given a plane ticket and told to live a different life, but Wesley finds a secret room in the closet filled with guns, equipment, and everything required to make 1,000 of those rat bombs. So he's not going to be running. He finds Cross's plan to use the rats to blow up the mill, and starts putting it into action, stocking up on peanut butter and gathering rats at the local dump. So now it's time for the final climactic battle, as Wesley breaks down the mill's doors with a dump truck. Everyone starts shooting at him, but he opens the back, letting all the rats free. And once they're in place, the timer counts down and they all explode. Wesley jumps through the window for honestly one of the better gunfight scenes I've seen in a long goddamn time, as it's not overly ridiculous, it's sufficiently cool looking, and kinda sick when Wesley shoots the repairman in the face using his body as a shield firing through the back of his head. However, Wesley still gets shot, because he isn't perfect, making the fight very believable and something other directors need to learn. Kurt Wimmer. Wesley faces off with the Butcher, who's rather sneaky for a big guy, as he keeps slicing at Wesley. He finally shows himself, and they start fighting. He goes to stab Wesley, but the thing gets stuck in the barrel of his gun, which Wesley fires into the guy's chest. Not sure that's how guns work, but okay. And Wesley kicks it through the guy, killing him. We're about to have the final confrontation with Sloane, but I just wanted to reiterate my point about this fight scene. It really is incredibly well done in every way. Like I said, it's the perfect combination of slightly ridiculous, but still very real feeling, so it's actually good as a result. Wesley gets into the library to confront Sloane, but he gets surrounded by the remaining fraternity members, Fox included. Wesley tries to tell them about what happened, showing them Sloane's kill order, and it's clear Fox didn't know about this. She shoots the gun out of Wesley's hand, but then asks Sloane if it's true, and he tells them what the truth is.
Here is what the truth is. Your name came up. Your name came up. If I had not done what I did, you would all be dead.
However, you could argue that their names came up because initially, Fate or whatever wanted Sloane dead, but because that couldn't happen, it started picking off people who work for him. So if Sloane died when he was supposed to, theoretically their names wouldn't have come up. So even with Sloane's excuses, he's still the problem here. But he does make a counteroffer.
Now, if any of you feel the need to follow the code of the fraternity to the letter, I invite you to take your gun, put it in your mouth, and pull the trigger. That is what Wesley demands. Otherwise, shoot this motherfucker.
Whoa. Can he say that? No, I know he's the bad guy, but it's Morgan Freeman. He talks about penguins, not motherfuckers. Okay, that happened. The fraternity members, specifically the gunsmith, choose to follow Sloane, but Fox chooses for them and bends a bullet round the entire room, killing them all. And throwing her gun to Wesley so he can't stop it, she lets the bullet kill herself too. which, given why she joined the fraternity, it makes sense she would want to die if she knew what she was doing was wrong. Sloane disappears, and outside, Wesley checks his account to see all his money is gone, and then laying on the ground, he disappears as well. The film picks back up sometime later as Wesley's back in his office job googling his name, as he narrates saying this is not him saving the world. But as Sloane comes up behind him, the situation is made clear.
This is not me. This is just the motherfucking decoy.
Oh, fuck.
The bullet flies back along its path as Wesley narrates some more, saying that this is him taking back his life from everyone who's wronged him.
What the fuck have you done lately?
Wow, that was Wanted, and I've never had a film actively insult me like that before. However, if I remember the comic book correctly, it ends with the main character grimacing at the audience while saying that that was his face while fucking you in the ass. So frankly, I'll take the movie's ending. This is one of the few times when a pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe comic adaptation actually turned out a lot better than its source material. And frankly, they could have called it something different, changed the names a bit, and it would have been its own complete story. It didn't need the source material at all. And as a film, I think it works very well indeed. It's an incredibly enjoyable and satisfying action movie, with great performances from everyone involved. And the casting of Morgan Freeman as the bad guy was pretty clever, because who's going to suspect him of evil doings? The man played God after all. So yeah, Wanted is a pretty great film. Man, Angelina Jolie keeps coming out on top in my videos. But I should say that there won't be a video next week, mainly so I can prepare for October, because I got something kind of special planned. So until then, I'll see you next time.